Welcome back to Drafty Toons Reloaded. I'm your host, Jesse, and with me is my co-host,
Andrew.
Very nice. I'm just gonna wing it and hope something happens.
Oh God.
I think we should just go for it.
Yeah, you got notes.
Yeah, we got notes. Barry's right. We have notes.
That's it.
Okay, here we are going over the third installment of the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy, which is It's a Trap. This movie has a runtime of 57 minutes. Came out in 2010. This is the last part of Seth's agreement with Fox for the Family Guy movies before all that mess happened. This was the darkest one, I think.
Yeah.
Let's just skip all the way to like the middle of the movie where they're like trying to make the stormtroopers bury them, trying to bury their own graves and stuff. And like they're done with the QT Ewok shit and they need to fucking go do some real dark shit. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You don't remember anything. Do we need to watch it again?
We might need to.
All right, let's rewatch this movie so Andrew's a little bit more fresh on it.
Take two. Action.
And we're back. Okay, we watched the movie for a second time because, Andrew doesn't remember a damn thing about this movie, but we do now. Let's just go over it. This is the third installment in the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy. I might have said that already. Barry, lots of edits. Let's talk about the runtime and the direction they took this, along with the stuff that was going on with Fox and Seth in general, because it was kind of a mess. The runtime in this movie was 57 minutes. This movie came out in 2010. Seth MacFarlane has a producer credit in this, and I forget who else does. Some guy named Goodman, I'm pretty sure. Let's talk about the Fox stuff, because Seth didn't even want to do this movie, right?
Yeah, it actually says in the title scrolling, like the Star Wars.
Yeah, the opening scroll.
It literally says in the opening scroll that he's asking us to lower our expectations in this one. Pretty sure he mentioned somewhere like he didn't even.
I didn't have any to begin with. So.
Yeah, he had mentioned something about like this one's not going to be as good as the other ones in the yellow scroll.
It shows.
And yeah, it does.
They didn't even want to do this one. They made him do it, or else Seth wouldn't be able to do any other like movie projects or like the Orville stuff he was doing or his other movies, anything else he was trying to do. So he kind of just phoned this one in, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like they gave him like a really strict time frame for the movie. They're like, it has to be at least 50 minutes long. And he came back at them, what I feel is just, there's a lot of moments in this where it's just nothing's happening. The head nod scene.
Yeah.
That took a long time.
And I get that's the joke, but it took way too long. And they did it twice. They didn't have to do it twice. Like, they did it once when they're like, all right, Luke's about to jump. They're just, they keep nodding at each other, and eventually they do, like, this Caddyshack joke at the first one. After the first one's done, well, we're waiting. That's what we're doing the whole time. We're just waiting. And then the second one goes around. I'm like, oh, I thought we already did this. Are we doing it again? I didn't like the joke. I liked the joke when I was about 13 when this movie came out. 13, 14, something like that. As a 23-year-old young adult, it's tedious and I do not enjoy it. Just going back to the Fox thing, they didn't give him a whole lot of what he had to do besides the time frame, I think.
Yeah, I feel like just most of this movie was kind of a stall. There wasn't much that happened. There weren't really that many like jokes, and Family Guy does a lot of jokes.
This movie reminded me a lot of my like high school essays where I just phoned it in you just kept putting in other jokes there like run-on sentences, and there was no like real value in it like I saw on something Dark Side. It's a Trap is basically just a phoned in school project, I think.
Yeah, that's the vibe I was picking up too.
I don't understand. You don't have to phone something in like this,
I think it could have been better. I mean, they stuck to the Star Wars movie quite a bit.
And when they were trying to stick to the Star Wars movie, they realized like they weren't good at it. They weren't good at it at all. They had to go to the joke over and over again. You didn't know where the movie started and where like ended with the jokes. There was no like break from the joke.
I feel like it was just kind of mashed together. It wasn't typical Family Guy where it's kind of smooth. Like you get that transition. In this one, it was like they just tried to jumble it all together. There was no separation. It was just, they kind of tried to make it almost seem like it was in the movie.
It seems like all of it was trying to get as many jokes in there as possible, and it seemed like a really busy movie when it came to the comedy. And I understand it's Family Guy, but you need to like give the audience a break, or else the jokes have no value or meaning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what were some of your favorite jokes?
I like that. Oh, Han does like this employment thing on the side, and it's like, Han jobs. Get your Han job today.
Yeah, they had a lot of those hand job jokes in there. I thought that one was pretty funny. Another one is Obi-Wan's ghost returning, talking to Luke. He's like, "Oh, you got a new hand? Why don't we take it for a test drive?" And then he talks about having him to go ahead and put his hand in the motion of pulling a carrot from the ground.
I still do not like his character. It's freaking weird. I've never liked Herbert's character in anything.
No, but that joke was that one was good for me.
It just makes me feel weird.
One of my other favorite things was the pie fighters.
Mm-hmm.
The TIE fighter jokes in this they're just funny. The pie fighters coming out of nowhere though, launching the pies.
They like destroy a whole squadron of X-wings. It's freaking hilarious.
They just explode.
I think this is my favorite movie when it comes to Joe's roles, because Joe has like his biggest role out of the three, and he's Jabba the Hutt. He's like, "What on top of triple dog there?" And he makes like this kid like lick Han's ass because he's still in carbonite, and he's like, the guy still has fucking tongue stuck to his ass, and it's funny.
So I feel like with Joe's like language that he's speaking, I feel like it was possibly brought over in the movie A Million Ways to Die in the West, because there's the scene with the Indians and they're speaking this language that's just actors' names. Mm-hmm. And Joe literally at one point says Mila Kunis for like push him in or something.
Yeah.
And he also starts saying
which is funny because Mila Kunis plays Meg, and Meg is the Sarlacc, and he's like push him into Mila Kunis essentially, and that's what makes it so hilarious.
Yeah. He also will say stuff like "gitchy yaya," which so I feel like
that's when he got choked, right?
Yes,
by Leia.
I'm pretty sure. His language is just a bunch of referencing actors, song lyrics, and saying the same thing that he's saying, but in a different way.
I like it when they're like laughing and stuff, and they're like, ha 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 ha. And then there's that ostrich just like, ha ha. That is probably my favorite part of this movie, sadly enough. I love that ostrich.
So
ha ha.
One of the jokes that I appreciated was in the very beginning, it's showing the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows the construction workers working outside without any like space equipment, no helmets, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't what was funny to me. If you watch the contractors working, they're building, and there's one guy who's putting up yellow crossing tape. Mm-hmm. And he's taking a hammer to one of the poles that's already set in place with the yellow crossing tape, just hitting away.
Just looking like he's doing something. There's a lot of that, though, and like all three of these.
He's just trying to look busy, and I thought that was funny because, you know, work jokes are great.
Also in that scene where they're like Tyler Perry's Meet the Calrissian posters everywhere, and it has like Lando and like Tyler Perry's cast. I think Medea's on that poster too.
Yeah.
I love it.
I just love the work references in all these movies. Like there's quite a few of them. There's a
like shortly after that, there was three people at the desk, and they're like, "Hey, you know what happened to those snow shovels?" And they're like, "No, I don't know what happened to the snow shovels." And they're wearing the snow shovels because they look like they're actual work helmets.
Yeah,
and I thought that was pretty good.
I like the Kessel Run joke.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, but we only have 5 parsecs." Ha ha, hop in.
yeah, he said that he was headed to Kessel, and the women in the, like, was it a Ferrari or whatever?
It was a convertible or something.
They were like, "Oh yeah, we'd join you, but we only have 12 parsecs." And he's like, "He he he."
hop in. Yeah, this movie didn't really have a whole lot of heart to it besides like some of the jokes. A lot of the jokes I kind of just glanced over because they didn't have weight to them.
Yeah, they were just half-heartedly done. Like, we need to put something here.
One of the phone-in ones I thought were like the stormtroopers doing a pillow fight with the Ewoks.
That was a little goofy.
There was no point for that. It was dumb. I guess it's Family Guy and it's silly, but still.
The death stab T-shirts. I wasn't a big fan of the death stab.
They could have done
t-shirt
without
joke.
that.
Yeah,
They could have definitely done without that.
Like, I like how they're really, really like turning the Death Star into what seems like a business.
Almost like Disney World.
Yeah.
Like, oh, welcome to the Death Star. You should come back next year when it's finished. And it's like a kid with that has like cancer or something.
Yeah, that was that was a little bad.
That was part of the dark stuff. We'll get to that later. Andrew, let's go over the cameos.
All right, so we had quite a few cameos, and they pointed that out in the very beginning when Darth Vader first lands on the Death Star.
Steve is Darth Vader. That's another opening crawl one.
Yeah, whatever. So he's coming down, and Roger walks up, and he's like, wait, we're already out of characters? And Roger just continues. So they have Roger.
They have Klaus, right? He's General Akbar.
Yep, they have Klaus. I noticed that Jabba's iBot that's letting C-3PO and R2-D2 into Jabba's palace.
She technically didn't even let them in. They just broke in.
Yeah, technically. But the iBot was Consuela, and it wasn't obvious that it was her, but it was her voice. They did make the comment that to get Consuela's character out of the eye socket, I guess. I don't know what this thing's called. It's an iBot.
It's like a security droid almost.
Yeah, they tell her that Jabba's cat's running away, and they wouldn't want to blame the help, which is like blaming the help would be like a made term.
Also, Tim from the Cleveland show, The Bears, all the Ewoks are based off of him. Thought that was pretty funny.
The first one is based off of him. The rest are kind of just drawn like him, different colors.
Yeah, but they're all based off of that character.
Yeah.
Like, he's like the only bear character I've ever seen in any Seth MacFarlane cartoon. Another one.
We have Rollo.
Oh, I forget his name. The little boy from Cleveland show. He's like 5.
Yeah, that's Rollo.
Rollo?
Yeah.
Okay. And I that was one of my favorite jokes in the movie, though, when he's like, fully operational, what does that mean? And he's like, it means it's fully functional. He's like, I still don't understand. And then Mort's like, bang, bang, boom, boom. And then Rollo's like, bang, bang, boom, boom. Damn, that thing's operational. And I'm like, God damn it. This is exactly what it's like to explain to kids, because then they think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that was a good Family Guy joke right there. That's what I like from Family Guy. Another,
like, dialogue driven, not just out of nowhere, like out of the story kind of thing, but like they mix it into the actual movie part of the thing, not take you out of it. I hate it when they take you out of it constantly and constantly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's funny, but other times it's overdone. Really.
We talked about it, and it just felt smoother. I didn't come out of the movie feeling when I was watching it because it just blended in really well.
You're talking about the second one, or the one before this, I should say. This one was smoother, or like this one was smoother?
This joke was...
Yeah. This joke, okay. I thought this movie was kind of everywhere, but...
Oh, yeah.
The pacing was freaking something else.
Another cameo was Bullock from American Dad.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
He makes a cameo. He actually plays his reprised role as Captain Picard in this movie, which is kind of cool. But also, I was like, why is Star Trek here? This makes no sense. But it's Family Guy, so we're going to keep saying that.
It's like a double cameo. I think that was...
Was that it for jokes? Is that like all the highlights?
I think that's all the cameos, actually. We can go ahead and talk about Meg. She's in this one, too. She's been in all 3.
Yeah.
She is the Sarlacc.
She never has any lines. Mila Kunis is getting easy money. Like, really easy money.
I think probably my favorite joke before we continue would be... It wasn't really a joke. It was just the end of the movie where Luke lays Vader down and is like,
oh, my God.
Take off my helmet. I want to see you with my own eyes. And he like is trying to take off the helmet and accidentally snaps his neck.
Like, literally just like Viet Cong, like Snaps his neck. I love it.
I couldn't help it.
And then he turns into a Force ghost later on when it's at the end of the movie. They're doing the celebration, and Stewie's Force ghost appears with Yoda's and Obi-Wan's, and he's like, "Wow, you're here too!" And he's like, "Fuck you! You murdered me, you ass! I could have made it." And I'm just like, God damn it, it's funny.
I do have one more cameo written down that I passed over. I wanted to save it for last because he shouts, "Still alive!" while he's in Tatooine. Shout out goes out to Osama bin Laden.
This movie was made in 2010. When was he assassinated? We're gonna get Barry on that. I don't know if this is a dated joke or not. I'm pretty sure. When were we in 7th grade? Because that's when he got assassinated. Well, I was in 7th grade. You were in 8th grade.
9 years ago? 9? Or was it 10?
I don't know when you were in 7th grade.
All right, but when was Osama bin Laden killed?
May 2nd, 2011.
2011.
Oh, that was
Okay, so that's a time joke because he was still alive. So
yeah,
that was like right before. That's funny though.
Must have been where we found him.
Found him on Tatooine. Where did we find him? I forget. Was it Iraq? Like in the dead center of Iraq? No, it wasn't Iraq. It was Iran. I don't know. I do a lot of things. Get it?
It was Pakistan.
Pakistan. See, I don't know anything. Sorry about that. Let's talk about the pacing of this movie so I can stop sounding like an idiot. It was everywhere, just like the actual movie, I think. Russell says that Return of the Jedi pacing was like better than Empire, but I disagree. I think they got to the final thing in this movie like really fast. I get he didn't even want to do this movie, but I think they could have done the pacing a little bit better and maybe not put so many jokes in and added a little bit more dialogue, more like closer to the source material. They left out quite a few things. Your thoughts on the pacing, Andrew?
I thought it was kind of choppy. Like the whole time I was like watching, I was like, in that movie mode, and then they would do something and it would pull me out, and I'm, no longer in the movie. And then it would
and then we move on to the next scene.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we're back in here now.
Exactly. So it just like kept pulling me out, pushing me back in, pulling me out, pushing me back in. And
God damn it. You did it to yourself. Christ. Okay.
Speaking of going out and back in, back to the dark jokes.
All right, let's talk about those dark jokes.
Not necessarily dark jokes, but just the movie's darker in general. They've got Rush Limbaugh's brains falling out. Like, that was pretty graphic.
And, like, it didn't even make sense because his brains looked like intestines. Did you see that?
Yeah, they just kind of, like, fell into mush instead of...
It looked like straight-up intestines. It looked like sausage, like straight up.
I can't say anything. I've never seen anyone's brains fall out in real life before.
Yeah, but they don't look like intestines. Intestines look like intestines, and brains look like brains. And those were intestines. And I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the decision-making there was, but... it was kind of a little messed up.
So yeah, the graphic side of this movie, it was honestly pretty graphic. So some more dark stuff from that was just the way the Ewoks were murdering some of the stormtroopers.
And they're like, our armor is useless. Why do we even wear it? And it literally got pierced by like regular like spears, like arrows.
Yeah, they were just like bashing skulls with stones. Towards the end of the movie, when they're all celebrating, it's showing just like all the dead stormtroopers, and the Ewoks are just walking around stabbing them, making sure they're dead, and the stormtroopers are screaming. So it was pretty.
We had
graphic.
a couple of Wilhelm screams from the stormtroopers. Or whatever, however you do it. That was terrible. Don't do that again.
Chewie in the walker just randomly killing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, a butterfly! Bang! It's dead. Chewie's just randomly killing everything. The Make-A-Wish Foundation joke, that was pretty...
That was early on.
Yeah, that was pretty dark.
Let's go back to right before Chewie gets in that walker and Han makes those stormtroopers dig their own graves.
Yeah.
That was super dark. And he said it himself. He's like, I'm done with this cutesy crap. I've had it up to here with Ewoks. And I'm just like, holy cow. Seth just did not care anymore.
Yeah, he made the stormtroopers dig their own graves with their helmets. told one of them to stab the other one in the mouth, tear off his face, and wear it to that guy's home and see how long it took their family to notice. That, to me, I mean, it doesn't really get much darker than that moment there, but there's another moment that's kind of dark, but that one was really dark. When they're giving the passcode to the Death Star to land, they're waiting, and Peter's like, I don't think they're going to take it. Here, I'm going to shoot you, Chris, and then you take...
No, I'm going to
shoot me, and then I'll shoot you.
you.
So right after that happens, that wasn't like super dark, but after that, it shows C-3PO in the back.
Which is Quagmire.
Yeah. Who took off his leg, knocked out Leia, and had her bent over backwards. That was a little far out there.
Yeah, but that's typical Quagmire. I mean, that to me didn't stick out as much as like the dig your own graves kind of thing. Like Family Guy's never done something that dark before.
Yeah, I just feel like they could have done without both of those parts. Like those were really dark, and if this movie had been released like
the goal in these movies are to try to make you laugh, and they do that stuff, and it's like it like kind of just turns your smile upside down to a frown. You know what I'm saying? Like it like takes you out of that feel good, and then takes you into like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Like,
So I know we said it in the other podcasts. This movie would not survive today. I'm not sure how it survived how this one survived when it came out either, because some of this stuff's like even dark for then.
2010 was still a decent time for like everything, because nothing was PC yet. Like nothing was like super like censored, and nothing was a pressing matter to censor. You could pretty much do anything back then. In terms of direction, Seth could just take it anywhere in this point of time. Nowadays, I doubt he could. He's probably a lot more restricted, and he probably is why he can't do a whole lot, because he'll get crucified, because he is a liberal. Don't mean to get into politics, but he is very liberal, and he would not survive like if he made these kind of jokes today.
Yeah, I feel like there's only like one or two people maybe that could survive making some of these darker jokes. One being Tosh.
Yeah, Daniel Tosh is pretty good at what he does. I love it. His delivery and his timing is probably the best I've ever heard in terms of straight delivery.
But other than that, people are starting to back away from these darker, edgier jokes.
Everything has to be family friendly now, and you have to include everyone. You have to be inclusive, and I get it, sort of, but at the same time, like, you got to make your jokes because life is funny. Do you have any questions about this movie, Andrew?
Yeah, the bike chase scene, it shows that Luke jumps on the back of the bike with Leia. They're chasing down the stormtroopers.
And that's Pee Wee Herman's bike, right? That's supposed to be, they like took his bike.
I felt like one of the stormtroopers took it. I'm pretty sure.
But then later, Pee Wee takes his bike, and it's like a red retro looking.
Yeah.
Like what are those bikes called? Swins?
Schwinn?
Schwinn fin? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Oh,
Schwinn?
yeah, Andrew had it right. Barry fact checked it.
Boom.
But there was like a totally different bike that Pee Wee was using, and he was complaining like, "Oh, my bike! Somebody stole my bike!" And none of that happened because it was a totally different bike later on. Like the inconsistency kind of like threw me out of the movie too.
Yeah, that was inconsistent. I'm glad you pointed that out. But my issue with this bike scene was they were like ramming into each other this whole time, trying to like push each other off, fight with their fists.
And they're perfectly balanced, it seemed like.
Well, I mean, I'm not even worried about that. What I was worried about was when Luke got on his own bike, he fell back to take care of the two behind.
Oh yeah, when
Leia went
when he
to the
like
one
pumped
in
his
front.
brakes.
He pumped his brakes and he pulled out a pistol.
Where'd that come from?
Why didn't he use that to begin with?
Yeah.
And then my other question is, I thought it was kind of funny, but that last stormtrooper, he cut off the tire of the bike.
Mm-hmm.
The trooper fell off the bike. The bike hit a tree, exploded. It's just a bike.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a speeder. It's just like a pedal bike. The stormtrooper gets up. Oh, my back. Oh,
And he like slowly walks
Oh.
off like for like 3 steps and then explodes. And you're like, what?
why did he explode? He just,
It was for the stupid joke. It was a stupid joke. It was one of the stupid ones.
it worked for me.
One of my questions would be when Luke's going into Jabba's palace to like bargain and stuff. All the like Jabba and all his guys, even the droids, Leia, everyone, all their eyes are closed when he walks in. I don't know why their eyes are closed. I don't know what the decision there was, but they're all just like it looked like they were all just standing but asleep. I don't understand. He was just like, I don't know. Got me messed up. But yeah, that's like the only question I had like for the movie in general.
Do you want to
That was the only like thing I stumbled upon.
talk about the hits they took at Seth Green?
Yeah, this is a continuation of what's happened in the past movie or so. Like I don't know if they started doing it in the first or second one, but they take a lot more digs at Seth Green in this one. They really go over like his what do you call that? His work history, I guess. I don't know what to call that. His cinematography history or whatever. Like the projects he's been involved in, like Entourage and like Without a Paddle. Oh wait, Without a Paddle was in the something Dark Side. But
So the other ones they took shots at Seth Green at the very end of each one. They didn't really keep it in the movie.
But they did in this movie.
This one they did. There's quite a few. They used them to release Luke's anger in this one, and it started working.
I like how the Emperor's like, at least Entourage wasn't that bad because he played himself, an asshole. And it was the greatest thing I ever heard. And then that's when he like snaps. That's what makes him snap.
Yeah, I think I do like how they use that to like release Luke's anger, because Luke is just, this calm, collected guy, and in the movies he got angry because they were pushing his buttons the right way, and
he was triggered.
Yeah, I thought that was really good what they did there.
I just and then at the end of the movie they like talk about it and they're like, so what's your problem with Seth Green? And they're just like, I don't know, he just doesn't like, he's not good. and like, well, I think Seth MacFarlane's awful, and that just goes on from there. And then like the two women, Lois and Meg, are like, yeah, we agree because we're not Seth. And like the three characters that Seth voices, which is Brian, Stewie, and Peter, they're like, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. And so just like a little playful like, oh, which Seth is better? But it doesn't really matter.
Why can't they get along? They both share the same first name.
All Seths matter. Hashtag all Seths matter. That's a new hashtag. So during the second watch through, I noticed a couple things. Right before they introduced Joe as Jabba, they're like, Peter's like, wait, I know that voice. That's a 7-Up guy. And he's like, and then like, ho, 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 and then like he gets introduced as Jabba. And then Peter's like, now say, crisp and clean, no caffeine. And I love it. That was another joke I liked.
So there's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air language for the Ewoks that C-3PO was talking about, or he was speaking to the Ewoks, and he was trying to tell them something, and he did like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air intro.
And like Ewok talk, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
And then like when he got to like the climax of the song, he's like, under the Bel-Air, and then like the music starts, and it's like, and then like DJ Jazzy Homeless. I love that.
I thought it was funny how they pointed out that the only woman in the galaxy was Leia.
Yeah, and then right after that, Peter was like, yeah, we already did this. That's what's so fucked up. And that that's like probably one of the better jokes, I think. Oh, when Vader gets onto the ship, public travel, he's like, I don't understand. We live in a galaxy far, far away, but we still got to stop in Atlanta. And I'm just like, what? There's a space lantern, I guess. I don't know. Seth got me kind of messed up with this movie. I didn't really enjoy it. I was kind of just trying to get through this. Just like him, I'm just trying to pump this out so we can move on. I really don't.
Let's try one of his tactics.
I'm just phone it in.
Bum.
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 Bum. Are we doing the look thing? Is that what we're just
Bum.
nodding? Hey, listeners, we're nodding right now. Like,
Bum. Let's do this for 5 minutes.
let's really just milk this like Seth had to do. Just get that 50-minute movie out.
Jesse,
So we just go, bum.
there's something I have to tell you.
What?
Jesse,
Right here.
I'm going to tell you something.
Okay.
Jesse,
All right.
there's so many parts of this movie, Jesse,
All right.
that they just draw out.
Yeah. Like we're doing?
Jesse, I agree.
Right here.
I
That joke was sponsored by Juicy Fruit from the last movie. We're not really sponsored by Juicy Fruit, but I like gum, so yeah.
yeah, so there's just I felt like the movie was just a lot of us sitting around and watching nothing happen. Like
a lot of
almost
it's like
what we're
bum.
talking about right now.
Like we just need to start doing that on our podcast. We just need to just draw it out to a certain degree to where it's just we're filling time. Because that's all this movie was. That's why I don't have a whole lot to say about it besides what we've already said.
I'm really surprised that this movie was longer than the others because I feel like there was a lot less in this movie.
That's
than
because of the
any
drawn out
others.
jokes, basically. Because they're just like 2 jokes of them were just the nodding one where they're just like bump, bump.
We need to go back and time those jokes to see how much of the movie that those super long drawn out jokes took.
That had to have been at least 5 minutes with both of them together.
At least.
Like it's 5 minutes movie right there. And then the Yoda joke with Chris, and it was like Luke, and it's just like over and over again. And he's like, "Yep, right here, still here, 5 inches away. All right."
Yeah,
Yep.
they intentionally cut back to Luke just to draw on more time so he could get a couple words in, which added a few seconds. He did that like 10 times, adding like a whole minute of just Luke being like, "Yeah, I'm still here. All right."
And like they did that in something Dark Side, but it was funny when Han like cut open that, I forget what it's called. It was that thing they ride.
Tauntaun?
Yeah, he cut up that Don. His name was Don. Because he was a dead comedian.
Oh,
From
Tauntaun in Star Wars. My
yeah,
bad.
but-
Don and
but it's a
Family
Don
Guy.
in this one, where he cuts him open. He's like, and I thought they smelled bad. And he does that for like, I don't know, 30 seconds at least. And he's like, on the outside. He just passes out. And like, that was well done. These are
you can tell these
time
ones were,
fillers.
You can tell they were time fillers. They were just set up to kill time for his minimum minutes to fill.
I have some things to say about this movie. Luke. No. This, I thought let's talk about the lightsaber battle real quick, because the others were kind of not good. Like, the other 2 movies, they just like in the originals, the lightsaber battles weren't good. But this one and this movie, done by Family Guy, did a better job than Return of the Jedi, I think. It was a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot more aggression.
So, one of my favorite things about Family Guy has always been the chicken fights between Chicken and Peter, where
Mhm.
they're just beating the tar out of each other for like a good 2 or 3 minutes straight.
Mhm.
I always feel like they've had some pretty fun fight scenes that were action-packed, kind of silly, but they were good. And the fighting in this one, it was good. I feel like it could have been a little longer. One thing that did disappoint
They could have drawn
me-
the fights out instead of the jokes.
I was actually going here with this, was when Boba Fett fell into the Sarlacc pit. Instead of them doing the head nod, or they could have done the head nod too and then had him fight Boba Fett, but they could have had one of those long drawn out chicken fights because the chicken was Boba Fett. They could have had a chicken fight between Han and.
Han was blind though. How's he gonna fight? It's a cartoon. Is that what we're going with it?
Yeah, it's
All right.
it's Family Guy. They can do whatever they want, obviously.
He was straight up blind though. I don't think they could have done that fight and explained it very well. At least
He could have at least just like
Daredevil.
I would have been fine if he was throwing fists just to throw fists. If he was just punching the air,
And he was getting hit a lot though.
yeah, I'd have been fine with that. Like I wanted a chicken fight, and I didn't get one.
But Peter does throw some hands. Like he had a gun that he was trying to sneak up upon this stormtrooper on the Forest Moon of Endor, and he's trying to sneak up on him, and he ends up like steps on like a horn, a couple other things. I think he steps on a dog, and then he steps on a jukebox.
Bubble wrap.
Yeah, bubble wrap, and then he steps on this jukebox, and he goes bum 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 da, or something like that. It was like some party song, and the stormtrooper's like, "Oh, I love this song." He turns around, he's like, "Wait a minute!" And then Han had a gun, but he just ended up throwing the gun out and just punching him. Like he just straight up just did a fist fight. I'm like, "What was the gun for then? Why are you carrying a gun if you're just gonna punch people?"
Man,
I don't.
There was a lot of nonsense where they could have just used a gun, but instead they were like, "Yeah, let's duke this one out."
It's just, again, you're just drawing it out.
Again, if you wanted to draw out the movie, you could have done one of those 5-minute fight scenes. I don't think anyone would have complained because I personally love them. Like those fight scenes, they're goofy, they're silly, they're.
I like how much they move. Like
Yeah.
they travel a lot in a fight, and it's crazy.
Oh yeah, so I feel like that would have been a really good way for them to kill time. It would have made us all laugh. We would have had our attentions stuck on the movie better.
Yeah, I felt like I could constantly look away because it's like, oh, here's another joke. Okay, I can look at my phone real quick. Like, it didn't really captivate me as much as I remember it captivated me when I was like 13. There's not a whole lot more to go off of on this gem of a movie.
We talked about the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say. The dialogue was pretty subpar. I think there wasn't a whole lot of good stuff in there. I did hear recently in the original and Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader's like, Obi-Wan has taught you well, and like Luke had the high ground. And I wish they did something in this movie about it, but they didn't do anything clever like that.
Yeah, I actually thought about it this second time we watched it. That was always one of my favorite parts, was when we got the first 3 episodes after the second set of episodes. Hold on.
What are you trying to say right now? I'm so confused.
So
Lucas, why do you do this to us?
basically what you were saying, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie is, in the 3rd episode of Star Wars, Obi-Wan has the high ground. Don't do it, Anakin. I have the high ground. Cuts off his legs. Fast forward to this 6th episode where Luke is on the high ground and Darth Vader's like, I see Obi-Wan taught you well. Like, that is one of my
He's still
favorite-
bitter about it, be honest.
Exactly. It's just a really good callback to the
Prequels.
Prequels, yes.
You're tired today, aren't you? Can't even think of the word prequels. Okay. Oh, geez. This freaking movie. There's literally no substance to this movie besides the jokes, and it's really sad to see. I don't think Fox should have made Seth do this movie.
Yeah,
It wasn't needed. Something Dark Side carried most of it. Like, you didn't have to do this movie. And then, like, at the end of the movie, they're like, oh, I think the Cleveland show's going to do the prequels. Meaning, we're never getting prequel Cleveland show ones because Seth doesn't want to do them.
yeah, that's.
How do
not
you
gonna
even do
happen.
prequels? Like, you'd have to find someone to play Jar Jar, and I doubt you could. Maybe Roger. I don't know.
No, I don't like that.
Maybe Jar Jar is going to be like the hidden villain in the 9th episode that's coming out this week.
Don't even start with me.
Let's stop talking about this movie and talk about since it's coming out this week. Episode 9 theories. What do you got?
I could go on for days.
Spit it at me.
So I feel like feel like
You feel like
Palpatine's gonna try to do some mind control stuff.
Palpatine's in this movie? Spoilers.
I feel like he's gonna come
He's
back.
in the trailers. It's
So
alright.
Yeah. I was going to say, have you seen any of the trailers?
yeah, he's kind of known for creating replicas and transferring his soul into the other ones and
Kind of
whatnot.
like Darth Plagueis.
Plagueis.
Have you
Darth Plagueis the Wise.
It's Darth Plagueis, isn't it? Isn't it Plagueis?
It's Plagueis.
Are you sure?
I'm
Fact
pretty
check
sure.
that. Someone fact check that. Barry's not going to, but someone fact check that.
Pretty sure it's Darth Plagueis.
Maybe Barry will fact check that.
So, I feel like he's gonna, try to take over Rey's body. I feel like Rey. I've had this theory for a while, but
What if he tries to take over Leia's body instead, and that's how she dies?
no.
Whoa. I heard someone dies. Someone has to die. There's no weight to this movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little upset if no one dies, but
That's a weird thing to say, to be honest.
I know, but I like movies and I like how they work. So, I feel like Palpatine's gonna try to do some mind control, putting his soul in someone else's body, and it's gonna be Rey, and because she's feeble-minded, she just doesn't seem like she has much willpower against the dark side. So like we've seen it
Because she's a Mary Sue.
We've seen it when Luke's like, yeah, don't go in the dark pit. That's for the Siths and evil people. And literally like 2 minutes later in the movie, she's like, I'm going to go jump down the pit. So she eats herself into the pit. There she is doing evil stuff like Luke said not to do. So
yeah, like in the trailer, she like pulls out this really cool like red lightsaber. I don't know what's going on with that.
that's her body. I think that's just Palpatine.
Really?
Yeah. So there's the scene where it shows Palpatine's like floating toward her, and she's in this just dark room that just has like a stone floor. I think that is actually her mind. That is Rey and her mind trying to fight off Palpatine to get him out of her mind.
So it's mind control, not just body snatching.
The way that it works from what I've read about it, it's you have to go in and fight, like it's a battle of the minds, and whoever wins takes over that body.
So
and
it is
whoever
body
loses, their consciousness is thrown from their body into the Force, and they're gone forever.
Whoa.
So
Yeah.
I think that Palpatine is like controlling her because he's winning the fight like most of the movie.
But by the end of the movie, she's probably going to win, right?
well, I
like-
mean, it's a Star Wars movie, so probably.
Good guy always wins.
Oh.
Unless they don't, that'd be great. Are
But-
you kidding me?
If you like listen to one of the trailers for it, it's got Palpatine laughing, and he's talking about something like, "Oh, I got you both together. Now I can fulfill my plan," or whatever. And then like he continues to talk, but it kind of fades into the Force will always be with you, and it turns out to be Luke's voice in the end. It was kind of hard to tell the first few times I watched it, but
What do
I
you
picked
think
up
Luke's
on it.
role's going to be in this movie?
He's a ghost, like the other
Straight ghost?
Jedi. He's a ghost. He's
I
gonna.
thought he
he's just gonna-
projected a Force like representation of himself in that last scene of Episode 8, and then he got murdered, right? But it was just like his Force projection, and then like he like passed out on the island that Rey found him on.
I'm pretty sure his body disappeared.
Like he
I
used
don't
up all his
remember.
Force.
I-
I haven't seen Episode 8 in a while. I don't want to.
I'm pretty sure his body disappeared.
I do
kinda
not like Episode 8. at
kind of
all.
like Obi-Wan when he was struck by Vader.
In
How his
Episode
body was
4.
just gone.
Yeah.
So I think he's just gonna be like one of the Jedi guidance ghosty people.
Ghosty mother buddies. Mother buddies? I heard someone say that one time. I've been using it. A ghosty mother buddy. Instead of mother effer, it's mother buddy.
But yeah,
Um,
so his role is gonna be to help Rey in her mind, like find peace about who her parents are, because that's what's driving most of her like
Arc.
dark side energy is like, who are my parents? Who am I? And Luke's gonna be in the back being like, it doesn't matter. What matters is, you know, the Force, who you are now, not who you were meant to be, not who you think you should be, but who you are now is what is important. And I feel like that's gonna be his role.
I don't know what's gonna happen in this movie. I'm gonna go see it Saturday. I think you're seeing it tomorrow, right?
I might.
Okay. Well, don't spoil it for me, because we'll talk about it later on. But
I'll probably just tell you that everyone dies in the end.
like you do with every movie you see.
Yep. Frozen 2 was good. Everyone died in the end.
No, they didn't. Shut up. No one died. No one died. Come on. No one died.
Except everybody.
Except everybody.
Okay.
What are your ratings for this movie, Jesse?
I was going to go into final thoughts, actually. I didn't know you were the host of the show.
Final thoughts, Jesse. You got any final thoughts?
Okay. My final thoughts are, this was the second watch through I've done in 10 years. But I didn't want to see this movie again. I feel like it was a waste of my time. But I do, if you're a fan of Family Guy and Star Wars, I recommend at least watching these once. They're worth about that much. I'm going to rate this movie right now. And you can give your final thoughts and your rating after I give mine. My rating would be out of 10, probably out of 100. Out of 100.
Out of 100.
Out of 100, I would give this a 69. So yeah, a solid F. No, that's like a D minus. Pretty sure.
Somewhere around there.
It's like a D minus. It's almost a C, but not really.
It's pretty bad.
It's not a good movie. I didn't like it at all. It's a trap. Andrew, your final thoughts and rating.
So, I would agree with you. Watch it once, and then don't watch it again. Like that's
Ever.
like ever. I've watched it twice now. Pretty upset with myself.
I wish you would have remembered it the first time.
Yeah.
It's been a while, though. I guess I kind of need a refresher, too.
Me forgetting it after like 2 or 3 weeks just tells you that it's not really worth it to watch it more than once. Just
It's not rememberable at all.
It's not. Just if you like Star Wars, you're looking for something new, watch the Family Guy Star Wars.
It's not really new. It's like 10 years old.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it yet, it's new to you. That's who I'm talking to.
Okay.
So
Rating.
my rating for this one,
Out of 100.
it's a 65 because I'm going to give it a solid F.
Isn't that still a D? Isn't 64 failing?
I'm pretty sure 65 is
I don't
failing.
know. Different grading
65
scales everywhere, so.
65 in my book is a total failure.
If you don't get at least a 70%, like, what's the point?
Yeah. So I just couldn't stay in the movie. I was pulled in, pulled out. Here I go again.
Here I go again on my own. Okay. Before we go, I have some plugs for social media and whatnot.
Can you talk into the mic, please?
Talking to the mic, please. Okay. I got some plugs. You can reach us on Twitter or Instagram at DraftyQ. Subscribe, like, comment on YouTube at Drafty Quarters Podcast Network. Like us on Facebook at Drafty Quarters Productions. Do we have Patreon stuff up? Do we have that up yet?
Yeah, there's some stuff up.
We got some stuff up on our tiers. Check those out on Patreon at Drafty Quarters Productions. Email us at Andrew's doing funny faces. Email us at draftyq@gmail.com. Okay. But yeah, that's all we have for you on this episode. Until next time, I will see you next Thursday.
And then we play some music.
Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 John Cena theme. Da, 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 da.
I don't know that we want that music because we want people to see us
Yeah,
Damn.
that's probably right.
with their ears.